Are you a small business owner that's scared to grow? The biggest fear is when to take the leap. Well, today on our podcast, we're going to show you how to prepare yourself for success. Go big or go home. Hey, welcome back to Blunt Force Business. I'm Brian LaFauci.
And I'm Patrick Marino.
And ever since I was a little kid, I always wanted to grow big.
Grow hard.
And it never happened. Never happened. But that's why I got into business, Patrick. I got into business because I can grow and grow and grow and never stop growing. Today we're going to talk to our audience about grow big or go home.
Yeah, get going. We both believe that, and our business motto is that you need to constantly looking for opportunities to scale.
But I'm comfortable right here.
There's nothing wrong with somebody kind of staying small, but I think it's really hard to stay small in the long term because of a bunch of different factors. One being competition.
I can't grow because no one else can do what I do.
Yeah.
I'm saying all the bitch shit that people say.
I mean, we all know of small businesses that have just been sucked in and closed because a competitor opened up, especially like a national competitor comes in,
Right.
opens up and takes their spot. You know, the small jewelry store, the small coffee shop, they come in and like the small jeweler gets eaten up by Zales and K, and there's a K down the road. And I mean, that's the K strategy, is to have a K on every strip mall, in every corner, that's their scaling strategy.
I don't like people.
And
I just want to do this myself.
Yeah, but if you don't, you might think to yourself, okay, well, our loyal customer our loyal customers again, but also customers and trends can scale. So what do you? I mean, can change and evolve. So like, what you sell is not in demand anymore, and you haven't thought that through ahead of time and scaled with that ahead of time. It could be too late. So I think that we're a scale or die type of consulting company.
Yeah.
You should be constantly looking for opportunities to grow, but it's scary.
Do you know why?
It's scary. You're putting yourself out there, and there is the opportunity. If you try and scale, there is always the chance that you could fail, and it could destroy your business. And we probably both know people that have had that happen.
Yes. And my general take on it is there's so much risk in the entrepreneurial world, in the small business. There's just a ton of risk. So you have all this risk, right? And frequently, I see people and they get to the end of the road and we'll do a business valuation for them, and they'll kind of have this moment of, well, that's it. I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm like, yeah, because you did the same thing for 20 years and never gave it the breath it needed to be more than it was.
And the business is you. And once you go away, the business isn't worth anything anymore.
Yes. And so we believe for the goal of this is definitely financial comfort. And I know.
And protection.
Mm-hmm. And I know people in our network and that are going to watch this video and be like, I don't care. That's, we know who they are, right? They want to stay that small. They're doing this because this just allows them to have the kind of life they want, and they want it to be small and do its little thing. And that's for them. That is fine, as long as you are aware of the potential long-term ramifications of that, right? Because with not growth comes a lot of risk. And you mentioned some of it. The other risk with not growing is, what if you get sick? Right? To me, that's the biggest one. When you build out a business system and there isn't any kind of growth or succession, if you got sick, what then happens, right? So if you're in that boat, make sure you have insurance. Bottom line, right? There's really good, fairly inexpensive insurance out there for like, hey, I'm a solopreneur and I got to go down for 6 months. That'll keep a check. It's like Aflac, right? That kind of insurance is out there. So what I will say to you is, if you're going to operate in that space as a safety net, before we dive into grow how to grow home, make sure you're protected with something like that. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about preparing. You brought it up. People, there's a fear, right? people who want to get into that growth space and are struggling with paralysis, a lot of times it's fear-based.
You know what you know. I know I've got my customers here. I know if I'm super involved in it, I do a very good job. But the unknown is, well, what if we try and do it somewhere else? I have to hire people. I have to train them. The people in that area might not want it. We might not compete as well in that area. Like, we don't have the same goodwill that we've built up over here. So there's a number of different things that could prevent it. Or we go into this new market, we try and sell this new product as a way of scaling. There's just a lot of variables there that could lead to failure. And it could hurt your main, I think the number one thing that could hurt is it could hurt your main business.
Right.
Right. Because the attention that you're not putting on your main business to go to the scaling part of it, that is attention taken away. So you have to we're going to prepare, have your act in order.
Right. And I like the approach that you took in putting this call together, because you're like, all right, well, let's get them to think about how do they know if they're ready?
Yep.
Right. How do our listeners know if they're ready for growth? And I really love when people with good wordsmithing, right? If that's the term I'm looking for. I had a buddy of mine who said something so clean and concisely to me. Yeah. And it really resonated yesterday. I was explaining to him an issue going on with one of my kids, and then I was trying to talk them through, and I was being a little wordy, as I can be sometimes. And he said, comparison is the thief of joy, which was what I was saying in a very long-winded way, right? Like, when you start comparing what you have to what's going, or what this person's doing compared to that, it takes all the joy out of what you're experiencing, right? I'm like, Billy, give Bill credit for that one, because I'm like, that's fucking brilliant. I'm going to steal that one. And so, and then I did send it to my daughter that night, but then I had to be wordy. Yeah, I don't get off track really quick. I said comparison is the thief of joy, and then 4 fucking paragraphs about what I was talking about, and then ended with the thing. I suck. Anyways, you did that really well here, because as you were building out today's podcast and I was looking through it, you're like, how do you know if it's broke? And it was so simple. You're like, if you get busy and shit falls apart, you're not ready. And I'm like, wow, how true is that simple statement?
Yeah. In order to scale, can the business as it currently is constructed, can it run without you? Because if the answer is no, then you can't put the effort into the scale. Whatever the scaling decision is, whether it's a new location, a new demographic, a new product or service, if what you're currently doing is going to break because you're not there, then I think that's a problem, right?
And by what you're currently doing, that really resonated with me, because what our listeners should be thinking about is, well, that's everything, right? So if all of a sudden you're not, we're not doing our social media posts because we're so busy, or we're not doing this because we're so busy, that is a reflection of, okay, something's broke here that's got to be fixed before we scale, right? And that resonates with me right now. We were talking before we started this about how we're about to launch into a busy season with our school program, and I feel right on that. Then I feel right on that line. Like I do. I feel like I'm right there. Like, okay, I need a couple more systems in place right now for next semester, so this feels better, right? And I'll know, like, okay, we're ready to take the next step now. Because if we were to add a couple more things to the plate right now, some of them the spinning plates will drop, right?
Yeah. And you do a very good job of setting up SOPs, right? So you've got your program, you've got it all laid out. Like, here's what happens. Here's if X happens, Y happens, and it's all spelt out. Right. And then also is like an operations manual, standard operating procedures, and then hiring. Right. So you hire the right people to run the operations. Right.
Yeah.
And then if you can get that and say, okay, well, they can kind of do it. And if I'm not there, I'm sick, but in this case, I'm focusing on the next area, then it's going to run. And maybe they need to contact me and make a decision, or they need to contact me to get some feedback, whatever. I'm still obviously available. I'm the owner. But if I'm not available at that particular time, does the thing run? And if, generally speaking, if that's true, then you can scale.
Right.
And then what's holding you back?
And I think the two components to put in place there. So when I start feeling that way, we always want to save money first before we make the spend, because that's what's really scary to everyone. So first you just said, is there a procedure?
Yep.
Am I missing like something I could streamline here that would allow what's happening to just be a little more fluid, right? What's dropping? What balls are dropping? And is there a way I can streamline those processes so that way we're ready to move forward? And then when you do all of those things and you put, you get busy, you start to feel the pressure, you start to see things falling off the plate. So then you go back to them and say, why is that falling off? Well, okay, we don't have a good system to make sure it happens if I am doing A, B, and C. So that means we got to either pay for it, automate it, or hire someone, right? So we're either, buying software that does it, giving it to someone else, or we don't have someone else, so now it's time to hire. And that's the moment of transition where people panic, right? And they panic because if I make that hire,
I lose control.
Yep. And am I
might
sure?
Get the wrong person.
Yeah, I might get the wrong person. I might lose control. And am I sure that this money that's coming in now will be there next year, right?
Yep.
And that is, that's the fear point, I feel.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, how do you remove that is if you put all the other things in place and then you revisit your business plan and you re-engage like, okay, now what does it look like with this person in the fold? Frequently, I think people will hire people and not get the most out of them based on what their need will be when the growth happens.
Right.
So they won't structure it back to like structuring the SOP, right? It's all right. So we're growing. I need someone in the field to deliver. So we just hire someone, we put them in the field and they're delivering, but then all the other components that go along with it, we didn't like build up a plan for how we're going to manage all that. Right. Yep. And then it feels broke again.
Right.
And we lose track.
Yeah.
Of
so
all
a
that.
lot of this is process oriented.
It's very process.
A big part of it is the process that you create repeatable.
Yes.
Because at scale, so it's the classic example is the McDonald's hamburger, right? It's like on the assembly line, how is that built? Once we get that, and then how is it cooked? And then how long does it sit? And it's like they have that nailed down so much that they know if they open in the next location, they can just repeat that whole thing. We build the restaurant in a similar way. It's just going to run because we have all those processes so nailed down. And people are not empowered to make a change to that. That is part of our process, and they are going to live up to it. And that could be a process of, so I have a house cleaning company that's looking to expand into a new location. One of the things that's holding them back is people power.
Yep.
It's like, we know that if I answer the phone, I'm going to turn that person into a repeatable customer, because that's the whole in house cleaning and a lot of those types of industries, repeating customers is the whole business. Because we put money into the marketing to acquire that person. If they stay on for 2 years getting a weekly cleaning, we've made all the money we need to make.
Right.
If they stay on, freaking great. You know what I mean? But like there's an X amount of time they have to stay on and then we're good. So in order to repeat that, we have to have somebody who's able to answer enough phone calls. Like we know we can get the cleaners. We have a process for getting the cleaners. We know how to acquire customers through Google and through Facebook. We figured out those things. So we can repeat that, but we need to solve the person answering the phone. Right. So that's the next step. But that's one of those things that holds it. The other thing might be launching a new product. So it's like, okay, we launch a new product. We have the promotional strategy. We have a PR strategy. We have a branding strategy. We have a color strategy. We have who gets it first. Does it get in the hands of certain influencers? And then we launch a new product. Can we now replicate that product launch? Say, okay, we need to take all these steps. And now maybe some of the little steps are different. Yep. If it's a different type of product, it's a different type of service. But it's a replicable thing, so we can scale pretty confidently. We know that if we launch it, we have the fail safes, we have the steps and process to make it successful. And to your point, we have the money that if it's a failure, we're not going to fall apart.
Right.
I know we had a family friend who owned some really successful restaurants in Providence, and they went from 1 to 5, and the whole business disappeared.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, you've got this amazingly successful restaurant, but the financial end on the backside wasn't
Right.
So one restaurant failed and they all went down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you have to have the financial resources to back it up. But if you can get all that in the order, we certainly believe you should have this, like a growth mindset.
Yeah.
You're growing to be better for yourself, for your future, but also to prevent competitors and whatnot. Or I said the competitive landscape is going to change whether you want it to or not, because people's tastes change. You know what I mean? You might need new products because people don't want that old product anymore. Like, so it's like, think about anything that you sold in the past that people just don't drink. Like people were drinking Diet Coke. They don't drink Diet Coke. We switched to Coke Zero. People want to drink that, right? It's a new product that, it's like this, the people who drink Diet Coke are aging. They're old now.
Yeah.
We still have to keep that product, but we need to introduce a new product for these new people. So it's like if you're not constantly introducing the new products, your chances are you're going to run out of business. So you have to scale. We think you have to scale.
Yeah, you need to continue to be looking to grow. It's while it's scary, it's insulation. 2, it helps you get to an end point that you're probably going to want to be at some point in time to be able to step away. And just as as we're talking through this, very rarely on our podcast do we ever promote any of the other stuff we do. I think this is a very natural time to just bring up the fact that if we were to meet with any of these people that might listen to this in person, we would say, join our weekly bold call, because one of the best ways to insulate for growth is to put yourself in a room with other businesses that have and are scaling, that have dealt with some of these challenges, and don't reinvent the wheel yourself. This is one of those times where I think the natural thing is, if you have no idea about our bold call, you can check it out at bluntforcebusiness.com/bold or something along those lines. If you go to bluntforcebusiness.com, you'll find the program, bold program it's our flagship program. But that's what we do in the program, business growth. And I think the reason why it works well is because as a community, there's a ton of knowledge and experience, and hey, do this, don't do that. Hey, do this, don't do that. And if the goal is to alleviate fear, maximize success, there's no better way to do that than not in a silo or a bubble.
Exactly.
That's the bottom line.
Yep.
What systems do I put in place? That's great stuff that we go through all the time with them. Like, hey, put in, we just finished this whole AI series. Like the 4 main components of artificial intelligence and automations you can put into admin, into your content creation, into your customer service, into your competitor resource. All of those things help with growth, right? So when you automate things, you free up time to grow. I guess what I'm saying is join the call.
Let's give people some takeaways here. I think number 1 is we changed the blunt force fact in the middle of the pod. It's grow hard or go home. Not just grow bigger, grow home. Right? It's grow hard.
Grow hard.
Grow. Make the decision to grow, because it's going to protect your future, and it's going to protect your future, protect you from competition, and improve your investment when you're ready to sell it in the exit strategy.
And I don't want to go home.
Yeah. Choose the correct scaling path. Right? So how am I going to grow? Am I going to introduce a new product that's complementary, that makes our business bigger? Am I going to go into a new location, a new area? Am I going to go to a new demographic? Am I going to start selling online? It needs to match your business model, right? So obviously, like the cleaning company, can we do it in another area of the country? The gym, can we offer more services? If I'm a landscaper, do I offer more property management services, or can I service a bigger area, right? So choose the scaling thing that works for your business. And the next step is have the money and the systems in place to allow it to happen, right? Make sure that if you're not there, or if the system breaks, does the whole thing fall apart? If something's broken, can the business survive?
Right.
Because if you don't have those, because if those things aren't in place, then the scale is just going to multiply your problems. The 1 restaurant goes to 5, they all go down, right? You have to have everything in place, all of our systems, to the point. I know, for example, the cleaning company one of the cleaning companies we compete with, that's more of a national brand, they have a shit ton of problems.
Yeah.
But actually their scaling has defended, because it's like, if something goes wrong, we have 59 other locations to keep us afloat. You know what I mean? It's like, there's a whole other way of looking at it, where if we just scale like crazy, if something goes wrong, we have all this other stuff to kind of lay back on. Like
Right.
if we were to release like 16 programs and 15 of them failed, our one is still going to go. You know what I mean? Like, so there's other ways of looking at it too. You know, it's like, but we're making so much more money because we scaled. There's, 30 of the programs are having trouble, but 20 of them are working. We're making so much money, it doesn't matter. So there's the way to look at it that way as well. But scale, go big or go home.
Go big or go home. And join the call.
Join the call, bluntforcebusiness.com/bold.
Love it. Anything else?
I think I'm all spent. I think I'm talked out. I don't
Got
have much more of the wordsmith.
No more wordsmithing.
No,
You did a
I think
great
so.
job. All right. I'm Brian LaFauci.
Patrick Marino.
Until next time.
Thank you.